think we're live, aren't we? Is this on, guys? Is this on? Let me know in the chat. What's up, everybody? Couple people here? Yeah, a couple people watching. What's going on? Can you hear me? Can you hear my guitar? That's the most important thing. I decided to do a late night, Sunday night live stream because of a couple of reasons. I was sitting on the couch back there with my Tele, was quite inspired to play some stuff, and also wanted to give you some advice on how you can get great Telecaster tones without, buying lots of stuff, just with the tools you have available at home. And also, the NFL schedule right now is pretty boring. The games are, I don't know, not great. Watched the Packers earlier. It was a great little thing. But right now, much more into playing guitar before we start the new week, I'd say. Much rather spend my Sunday that way. So, what I think we should do, make yourself known in the chat, please. We're gonna have a nice little discussion about Telecaster tones today. What's not to like about that? What I want to do is give you a couple tips here. How you should start out, with what kind of tone you should start out, and then what kind of pedals and stuff you should use to build on top of that. Drives, delays, what should they do, what kind of amp models you should go after to get a balanced, nice Telecaster tone that's not brittle, bright, shrill, whatever. And all the questions that you have in the chat, let me know. I mean, if you have any, let me know. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and play, you know, that's fine too. So I guess the first thing we need to talk about is what's the tone that I'm using right now? So what you're hearing, let me turn off the delay and drive and all that stuff, is a JCM 800-ish kind of tone, but it's not overly driven. I know it's a crunchy tone, but it's not, you know, totally over the top. It's just, I mean, it's a good crunch. It compresses, and we're gonna get to compression in a second, but it compresses quite nicely. And if you're playing the higher strings, it's nice and defined, but it's not harsh, you know? And that comes from choosing a, let's just say from choosing a combination of an amp and a cab that is not too shrill. What I like to use here is like the mid-gain tone from a Marshall JCM 800, and then you go into a little bit darker sounding cab or speaker. So I don't like greenbacks, for example, with teles, because greenbacks are clear and they have a nice high-end or high-mid push, I'd say. Not quite what I want to hear with a tele. I like V30s because V30 speakers are a little bit darker. They're not overly dark like in, you know, like an electro voice speaker, but definitely not as harsh as like a GT75 speaker, those in the Marshall cabs. And the V30 speaker mic'd with, I'd say, get an IR of a ribbon mic and a SM57 and you're good to go. I discussed this in another video, and that's where you get this tone. Now right now this tone is not special, right? It's just, you know, it's a good starting point, you know, but it's nice because it already compresses enough so the harsh notes are not, you know, sticking out. You don't get all the, it's not ice picky on any of those strings. It's always nice and balanced because the compression is already at a point where it balances out your frequency spectrum just a little bit. And that's how you can get sounds like this if you're adding just the delay. Which is super nice because you already have enough drive to kind of get into lead territory, right? But it's still clean enough so you can do some rhythm work that's not too driven, right? That's already a great starting point because from here it can only get better, right? So let's say we want to stack an overdrive into this because we want to have, I don't know, a lead sound that's just a little bit more compressed, round, and has a lot more sustain. So I'll just kick in, let's say, Carbon X here by Brown, which is a blues breaker kind of pedal, and you get this. That's a pedal that brings out the mids a lot more, so with the delay and with the backing track underneath, that's pretty cool, and it's pretty unlike a TELE, I would say, because it has a lot of those darker mids, because we're not using a super high gain sound and we're using darker sounding speakers. So you're taming all the way through the signature. You have to imagine you're taming the highs and, you know, the kind of maybe brittle highs that would naturally appear in a TELE. So if you want to get a TELE sound like this, you need to be aware of all the spots in your signal chain where these highs actually occur. In the amp, through the speaker, and you make adjustments based on that. Because basically what I'm doing to get my Telecaster tone is, I'm pretty much trying to get a Les Paul sound with a TELE, I would say, and darkening it a lot, you know? And that is the first decision you have to make when you want to get a great Telecaster tone. And once that is set, I think we can talk about all the other stuff that's happening. So which kind of pickups to get the right amount of detail and nuance out of the guitar, you know. Pickups do matter to some extent, but not as much, I would say, as your amp-speaker combination. The amp-speaker combination is, I'd say, probably 60-70% of your tone. Pedals play a role, your pickups play a role, probably, I don't know, pickup height might play a role too, but to me that's incremental factors. It's much more important to get, I don't know, the amp speaker combination right very first, and then add pedals, add a little bit of modulation or delay or spatial elements, and then do the rest. But what I think most people do wrong, or why they don't like their own tone, is because they're using bright sounding speakers or bright sounding amps. So what would be a bright sounding amp? So for instance, I think if you go for a Marshall Plexi, it's a super bright sounding amp, especially with greenbacks, which is the classic combination, right? But it's just such a bright and piercing combination. When you add a bright sounding guitar like this in the mix, it's just too much. I guess a lot of people want to just turn up a Marshall to 10 and play with the TELE and think it's fine, but then they realize it's just like a piercing sound. It's not pleasant at all. And yeah, the best way is, if you want to play a Plexi, is just have a darker sounding speaker. Could be like, I don't know, could be anything from a Creamback to a V30 to an Electro Voice to an Eminence speaker, right? There's a lot of things you can do. Or you just change to another amp, which I think is fine too. Try an amp that is not so extremely bright sounding. Like take a Bogner, for example, if you want like a Plexi that is a little bit darker voice, like a Goldfinger, the Atma. And there's tons of other amp manufacturers who do Marshall style amps that are just a little bit darker. I'm using a Cameron. The exact profile that I'm using in the FRACTAL right now is a Cameron CCV, I think is the name, which is a JCM 800, but darker sounding. That is always the key. So yeah, and that's pretty much the first thing. I think I'll play a little more and show you a little bit more about what happens when you add a Tube Screamer style pedal here. We're gonna go with the same backing track though, because this is gonna sound a little bit different. Listen. Instead of you get this creamy sound with the Tube Screamer. now the sound is a lot thicker. But did you also notice that we're losing all the twang? So if we have the tube screamer on, I use a JHS Moonshine here. By the way, all the stuff that I'm using, so the description down below is an affiliate link if you want to check it out. But I'm using this tube screamer style pedal, and it gets a lot thicker when you do that. But all the twang is gone too. That is always the problem if you're trying to darken your Telecaster sound or make it more creamy or more balanced with the tube screamer. It gets darker, but you're losing you're losing all the twang. Especially on the G and B string where the twang is most prominent usually. What happens when you do that is the twang is just gone. The twang is gone! And that is always the problem if you want to darken your tone with that. Because the tube screamer just has a lot of those mid frequencies and this just covers all the nice twang. If you want that, that's fine, but then it doesn't sound like a thick TELE anymore. Then it just sounds like some thick guitar sound. The art of using pedals with a TELE so it sounds balanced but not so compressed and not so mushy is really hard to really nail down, I'd say, because you need the right pedal, and I usually would think you should go with blues breaker pedals more than you should go with tube screamer pedals, because the blues breaker pedals, they don't remove the twang. Listen again, here's a blues breaker. Super twangy if you're using a tube screamer. It's all covered up. It's like a blanket sound, if you will. And the thing is, sometimes you need that. But if you want to keep the teletone authentic, I'd go with a blues breaker style overdrive much rather than just a tube screamer. Unless, and that is, you know, the magic trick in a pedal like the JHS Moonshine is you have the clean knob. And if you use that clean knob, you get half of, or whatever percentage you want of that clean signal back into the sound. So you're getting kind of the twang, but you're also getting kind of the tube screamer sound. Listen, this would be 50-50, so this is 50% normal amp sound, 50% tube screamer sound. See, that's actually better because now you're getting some of that twang back in because you're using the clean knob on the pedal. This is much better than just using the tube screamer on 100%, which sounds very, you know, I don't know, cloudy. And so this is one thing you want to look out for. If you want to use a tube screamer pedal, maybe go with one that has a clean knob or some option to get some of that clean signal back in. Guys, if you have questions, let me know in the chat. It's awfully empty today in the chat, I have to say. Where's all the people? It's Sunday night. What are you guys doing? Let me know if you have any questions about the guitar, Telecaster sounds. Let me know your setup and we can discuss it. In the meantime, I'll give you one more tip what you could do with a Telecaster that is just amazing, and a lot of people just do not do it. So we are in, what are we? In E flat. This is E flat tuning. And now if we do the old drop tuning trick, and we're only dropping the E string, and we're dropping it an entire step, we get drop C sharp, if I'm not mistaken, and this is such a beast of a tuning. It works exactly like drop D, it's just half step lower, but the sounds you're getting out of this guitar, it's just awesome. We're adding a little bit of delay. just a totally different sound, and it feels like the Tele grows a little bit more muscle when using tunings like this. Chord voicings here, and you have this mixture of a lower tuning with the sparkle of a Tele. That's just awesome. And we didn't change anything about the sound. We just stayed without any drive pedal and just a little bit of delay and that JCM at 100 kind of amp and my Fractal, and we just tuned down the guitar. Drop C sharp. We should loop that idea, guys. I see a couple questions in the chat now, but I think we should loop that idea and play a little bit. Let's try this. I think this could be really cool. That's nice, guys. Sound, I don't know. See, this is pretty much what happens if you just go into a different tuning, an alternate tuning. We didn't change anything about the sound. It just made us play differently, and you unlock some Telecaster sounds that are amazing. By the way, before we move into these questions I see in the chat, it's Black Week, guys. Black Friday is next Friday, this upcoming Friday, and the Black Friday prices are already live in my shop. So if you want to learn my style of playing, my style of soloing, check out my guitar courses in the description down below. There's a melodic soloing course that's 30% off. There's a power pentatonics course, also 30% off. A tone course, a riffing course, all these different things. And the best thing about it, if you bundle those courses at checkout, you can save even more than 30%. The second course usually is off 40% or even 50%. So check it out in the description down below in my shop if you want to learn these kinds of things. Now let's move into some questions here. We have a couple comments. Peter says, at work, unfortunately, just listening to the cool sounds. Man, if that helps get you through the workday, that's perfect. Greetings, man, and sorry you have to work on a Sunday. At least it's Sunday where I am. I don't know if it's Sunday where you are. Jeffrey says, I have a sick custom shop Tele, but no matter what, I can't get my low E string to stop buzzing. I've taken it to a tech many times. Is this normal, you think? Jeff, I don't think that's normal. That shouldn't be normal at all, because this is a custom shop Tele as well, and this E string, it's not really buzzing at all. It's buzzing a little bit because I just slapped the hell out of it. But usually this shouldn't be the case. This might be a high fret, so it could be one of the frets that you have on your fretboard is maybe a little bit too high and your tech didn't notice it. This could be one issue. The other issue could be the saddle is actually, the slot of your saddle for the low E string is too low. This could also be an issue. Not sure about that. Maybe try a different tech if he doesn't find that issue, because a custom shop Tele really shouldn't have a buzzing E string. Sorry about that. Love your tone, so thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we have a question from, I don't know what that name is, Woda Fru. I'm a noob when it comes to hardware setup. No problem, man. That's what we're here for. Can you explain yours? Like, does your guitar into pedals then enter an interface into your PC? Okay, I think he's asking about the signal chain. Okay, so the signal chain right now that you're hearing is this guitar into my amp modeler, which is the FRACTAL FM9. It's pretty much it's a digital device that models an amp. And from the FRACTAL, we're going into my computer, and that's why you can hear this. And the pedals are pretty much in between. I have a couple pedals that I have in between. So after the amp model, I loop out of my FM9 into my pedal board and back into the FM9. And then when it goes out of the FM9 into my computer. So this is pretty much between the guitar and the FM9. Might be a pretty sophisticated setup for, you know, just playing at home, but I'm not doing just live streams on YouTube every day. I'm also have a lot of other work to do where I need a variety of options, let's just say. What else do we have in the chat? Cheers, by the way. If you're having a beer, cheers. Yeah, try a different tech, Jeff. That might be it. I always pick up my guitar when watching. Yeah, that is the goal, guys. That's what we're doing here. I'm playing, so you're playing. The goal is, if you're picking up your guitar, you should never feel alone, because you can always count on me playing guitar at the same time too. So when you're playing and it doesn't sound good, just remember, somewhere on the planet I'm playing too, and it also always doesn't sound good. So you're never alone with this. So we're always playing together, right? And we inspire one another, and it just goes back and forth. And then somebody else plays something that I find inspiring, so I do a new video to inspire you guys. That's how all this goes, I feel like. And it's an endless pool of inspiration. That's why I love YouTube, right? Pretty nice. We got another question here by Simon. Hey Simon, how many positions on your pickup switch? 3. This is a vintage Tele. I have bridge pickup, middle position, neck pickup, and I shall present them to you in a nice way. So this is the bridge pickup. These are no caster pickups, by the way. They are an affiliate link in the description down below if you want to check them out. They're awesome pickups. I can only recommend them. This is really the bridge pickup. Then we have the middle position. Super classy, super nice. Super good sound. Then we have the neck pickup. Kinda stratty, right? Whoops. Forgot we were in a drop tuning. And these are the pickup positions. These pickups, these are Fender pickups, Fender Nocaster. I think it's the Nocaster and maybe a twisted Tele in the neck, I'm not sure. But they came stock in this custom shop Tele. I bought this Tele used, so I had no idea what was in it. I just played it and just thought it sounded good, so that's pretty much what it was. I think it's a 2018 or 19, not sure. My Tele has a 5-position switch. I struggle with it. Yeah, man, you're not alone. With these 5 switch Teles, I never know what to do with the other 2 positions. To me, a Tele should have 3 positions. They try to introduce that strat logic into the Tele, and I think it's just not necessary. With the Tele, you really only need 3 sounds. And in my case, 95% I only use the bridge pickup because what I'm doing is this. Whoa. Sounds grungy, sounds 90s, exactly what I like. Yeah, with these 5 switch things, I'm not quite sure. All these in-between sounds I think are not necessary, so I understand why you're struggling. Maybe just go back to a normal 3 switch. This shouldn't be a big deal. You can probably just change that with a couple of wires and just, a little bit of, help from a tech should be easily doable. We got another question here. What's the amp model you're using? Peter, it is a JCM 800. It's like, in the FRACTAL, it's called a Cameron CCV, which is a Cameron modded Marshall. But in essence, that's a JCM 800 kind of amp. And it's pretty much a one-trick pony, but that one trick it does is really, really good, as you can hear. I like that. It's a nice starting point to get a good Tele sound. It has all the, all the compression that I want. So no notes are, just popping out. Like it. What else do we have? Mine is made in Japan from the 80s. Those are supposed to be nice, right? Those are supposed to be nice guitars. When I'm in the middle of solo, it gets embarrassing. I'm considering changing it to a 3 position. Do that, man. Nothing worse than trying to play a solo and then you just don't know what kind of pickup position you should switch to. It's just not a nice position to be in. And if it's confusing, just simplify it. I mean, I own a signature guitar that has 1 PAF pickup and 1 volume knob because I get easily confused with these things. I need to have it super simple so I don't have to think about it, because once I'm starting to think about what I'm playing, I just make mistakes. And I guess that's true for a lot of people. So the simpler it is and the less I have to think, the more I can just, lose myself in the music and play nice melodies, And that's what we're all about, I guess. Peter says, the sound is quite compressed. Yeah, man. Sure. I mean, it's a mid-gain tone from a Marshall and you're watching over YouTube. So lots of places where compression happens for sure. But that's fine for me. A little bit of compression with the Tele is nice. I tend to have sounds a little bit more compressed with Telecasters compared to other guitars because I don't want these popping, brittle, bright high notes on the high strings. If you have less compression, you have all these popping out strings like, which now doesn't happen because I have a very very even frequency response. Yes, that comes at the price that I have less dynamics, but in a rock context, that's actually fine. I'm not playing too much purely clean stuff where I would want all these dynamics, and I'm also not playing blues. So if I'm rolling back the volume, for instance, I still get a lot of dynamics. Listen. So this would be full on. And now let's roll back. That's a super nice clean sound in my book. I mean, for me, that's just hard to beat because yes, you might say that's compressed, but I still get all the shades of gain out of it that I want by just rolling it back halfway, you know? So for me, that's perfect. I mean, that's all that I need. I love to be able to, and that's also, I'd say, an aspect of having a nice Telecaster tone is you need to be able to roll back the volume and get back that sparkle that you're used to with that kind of guitar. I think that's very important. If you don't get that, then I would agree, Peter, then it's too compressed for sure. But as long as you can get that, while also being able to get that, then I think you're good to go. What else is in the chat? We have Sabadaher. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hi, I have some rather esoteric question. I have a Mexican Telecaster Player Plus, which feels full body but a bit dull and lacking in brightness. On the other hand, I have a vintage Japan Squire. It's very bright and seems wide, similar to yours, more so to the Player Plus. Each note is very punchy in the low end and notes are even volume, but it feels hollow in the end. Have you encountered this? So, yes. So most Telecasters, I feel like, that I play when I go to a big music store, because I always have to go to big music stores because I'm a left-handed player. In a small music shop, they don't have a lot of left-handed guitars, so I don't have many options. But whenever I do that, I go to Thomann or wherever and can test 4, 5, 6, 7 different teles in different price ranges. There's usually two things that always occur. Either the guitars are very heavy, and when they're heavy, I feel like usually they're also very bassy. And then there are the cheaper, lighter ones that are also very, not sure, but they sound very bright and it's hard to make them full sounding. And I think that's just a natural tele thing, and you just have to find the right guitar for you. I played many teles before I actually bought this one, because this one had exactly what I wanted. It had this a little bit fatter sound, not as bright, punchy in the mids, but not too bright, but always cutting. It was cutting, but not in a painful way. And part of this is the pickups for sure, the Nocaster pickups. Again, find it in the description down below if you want to check it out. I have an affiliate link there, and you can support the channel. Part of this is the pickups, but the other part is just the guitar as it is. Now, let's make this even more controversial. I want to hear your opinions in the chat. Everybody, I want to hear your opinions. I think, bear with me, I think maple neck teles, despite common belief that maple necks are sounding brighter, in my ears, maple necks always sound more punchy in the mids. I think that is what some people refer to when they when they say bright. But to me, maple necks are the ones that are cutting through the mids more, and the rosewood teles are the ones that have these very bell-like highs and that very, I don't know, that very sweet treble on top, on the very, very top of it. And that to me is always the kind of treble that I don't need. So for me, teles usually sound better with maple necks. If you want to go esoteric, then there you go. To me, maple necks usually sound better, and that's why I have a maple neck tele. Yeah, and I think if you want to have a tele that's a little bit more punchy, a little bit louder, a little bit more in your face, and not as, smooth and sweet sounding, then go with a maple neck. And if you want to have that, like I said, like that typical, I don't know, slapboard kind of sound from the 60s, when you have a smooth sounding Strat or Tele, it's just very, very nice highs, like bell-like treble, then I think you need to go with a rosewood. But for me, the more rock, I think the Teles with the maple neck always sound a little more rock to me. And I'm a rock guitar player, That's what I do first and foremost. So maple necks for me. What is it for you? Rosewood or maple neck? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Any more comments, questions, whatever? because if we don't have any more questions or comments, I think I would play you out and maybe play a little bit more, and then we just call it a day, guys. And if you have any more questions in the meantime, I'm going to answer them at the end. What do you think? Shall we play a little more? Let's do it. All right. All right, everybody. I think that was my closing jam. Any more questions before we wrap it up here? Yes, we have one or two. Yeah, two more questions. Peter, sind Sie in Deutschland? Are you in Germany? Are you speaking German? I'm in Switzerland. Yes, Peter, I'm in Germany. I am German. Ich spreche Deutsch. Greetings to Switzerland. Right, and Steve Cassidy guitar. Hey Steve, what's going on? Has another question. Have you ever got frustrated, been disappointed with the lack of left-handed options through your playing journey? Dude, Steve, it seems like you know what's on my mind. So, having played for 25 years, you go through so many phases where all of your friends or your guitar friends or colleagues can go to any guitar store and play whatever they want, and you're just a bystander, and they usually have 1 or 2 models for you, and that's frustrating as hell. So you're always the one who's left behind in this world as a left-handed guitar player. Not only in the left-handed guitar player world, by the way. Left-handed, anything you do, left-handed when most of the people do it right-handed, you usually need a customized option on anything. So it's always an issue. So, but on the other hand, 2 things. You get used to that first and foremost, because you just don't plan trips to small shops or something like that. You always go for big shops because that's your normal, pretty much. You just can't go to any brick and mortar store and hope there's a left-handed guitar, because usually there isn't, especially not a good one. Maybe beginner guitars, yes, but the more you play, the less you're interested in beginner guitars, right? The other thing is that I really can't complain, and I don't want to complain because I've been very fortunate. I have a career at this point in my life where I can easily get my hands on very, very nice left-handed guitars. I just uploaded a video yesterday on my channel where I show my 6 guitars that are in working rotation, and all of them are incredible guitars. Nick Huber guitars, Gibson custom shop. This is a Fender custom shop. So I've been incredibly fortunate to know the right people and to play my ass off enough so people would actually like it. People would care. People would, I don't know, spend some money on a guitar course. By the way, Black Friday prices are in my shop, so check it out in the description down below if you want to learn my style of playing. But yeah, so I really can't complain. But if you're starting out right now and you're a left-handed guitar player, it sure is better than 20 years ago, because right now there's lots more options than there were like 20 years ago. But still, go to the Thomann website right now. They have 5,000 guitars. I just checked it a couple weeks back. They have like 5,000 guitars in their web store, and then I think 280 of those are left-handed. And of those 280, at least half are just beginner guitars for $50 to $250, euros, whatever. So it's really hard to play a lot of guitars when you're left-handed, but that's the way I was born, and that's just the way it is. And today it's fine. It's not holding me back, but as a younger player, it sure was frustrating. ADHD Seth, nice name by the way, says, incredible sounds. I love the no-caster pickups as well. What's your tuning? Right now we're tuned in, we started this live stream in E-flat standard. That's my go-to tuning usually. And I just dropped the E string later. So now we're in drop C sharp. I released a video on drop C sharp tuning on my channel just 2 weeks back. It did really, really well. If you want to check out more sounds with that tuning and this guitar, check out that video on the channel. It's Meryl91, great Tele in game. Do you use a processor or a pedal board? I am from Russia. Greetings to Russia, man. What's going on? I'm using a pedal board in front of me and also a digital modeler, a FRACTAL FM9. So right now, it would be too hard to explain, but my pedal board is actually connected to my FRACTAL FM9, so I'm using both right now. 50/50 Studio says, you only need 1 guitar, Joey. You sound great. I need 8 more to keep crushing. I mean, man, let's be all honest here. Since we're a couple guitarists in this chat, let's all be honest. If we're really honest with ourselves, we only need 1 guitar. Every one of us only needs 1 guitar. And we keep finding more creative ways to, I don't know, convince the wife or the girlfriend or the significant other that we need more, right? So, I have a friend that only buys black guitars, so the wife never notices. That's actually true. So, yeah. Dave Bowman says, was in Paris this summer and there was a left-handed only guitar shop that had hundreds of just left-hand guitars. Inspiring and amazing. It's true, man. Dave, thanks so much for that comment. Somebody made me aware of this, that there is a French store in Paris that only has left-hand guitars. There are a couple of those around the world. So there's Jerry's left-hand guitars in Sarasota, Florida. Shout out to Jerry. Has had his shop for at least 10 years, I would say. I think he just relocated to Nashville because the floods down in Florida were just killing him. But there's one that used to be in Sarasota, Florida. And then there's Southpaw Guitars. I think they're up in Boston, I'm not sure. And then there's Lefty Guitars Only. I think he operates out of the Midwest. I'm not sure, but there's a couple of left-handed only stores. I've never been to one, but I'm made myself a promise. Next time I'm visiting the US, I've been there quite a lot. And next time I'm visiting the US, I at least have to go into one of those left-handed only guitar stores. Only so I can feel what you guys are feeling when you're going into a guitar store, where you can just try everything. Just imagine going to a guitar store and there's maybe 3 guitars you can try, because all the other ones don't have the right orientation. It's just a crazy feeling, but I'm so used to it, I don't question it anymore. But I want to feel like you guys once in my life and visit a store like this. And I'm living in Berlin, Germany, so Paris is actually not too far. It's like a 4-hour train ride because we have well-functioning trains here in Europe. So it shouldn't be a big deal. What else do we have? ADHD Seth says, thank you, I will watch the video on your tunings. Do that, man. I have a couple of tuning videos out there on Drop D, on Open B, on Drop B. I mean, I did a whole series of alternate tunings, and people like these videos very much because they get new ideas from that. Right. Okay. I think we're wrapping up here, guys. It's been 45 minutes or so, maybe even more. I'm not quite sure when I started. I'm saying cheers. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and see you next time. And by the way, if you want to learn my style of soloing, my style of playing, check out my guitar courses in the description down below, because they're on Black Friday sale right now and you can save a lot of money. So check that out. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.